What's the job?
A contact in Eastern Germany has been reporting some very strange things. Hell, it's downright spooky. Villages in the Soviet-held part of Germany have been ripped apart. There's been a reported 30 deaths in the last 2 weeks. Sal, he believes it's an experimental Nazi soldier.
I think that this is what I was trying to say earlier. It's like, when I think of noir, I think of the seedy underbelly and crime being like thrust to the forefront. All right, Chief, I'm turning in my gun and my badge and my hat, because apparently I have no idea what noir is.
It's been 2 weeks, and both of us have lost the plot in this case completely. I can't
The
believe
investigations run cold. Similar
lost the trail.
To the mean streets, which apparently don't even have to be in noir. Here we are.
Yeah.
Week
This
2.
week we're talking about Night of the Hunter and Postman Always Rings Twice. And so, like, these are classic staples of the noir genre when you look up any conversation about them. They've been featured on any kind of, like, noir list, or, you know, that one show, Noir Alley, I sent you. They're talking about it.
Yeah.
So they're very classically noir. We're the wrong ones here, right? But it's like, they're both weirdly, to us at least, I think, not noir in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think you and I disagree more strongly on Postman Always Rings Twice. I think I definitely see that as a noir. We can get into it. But I like that we picked these two actually back to back, because the way I see it, it's like this weird juxtaposition where Postman Always Rings Twice is visually not noir at all to me, but narratively very much noir to me. And then Night of the Hunter, visually noir to me, narratively not noir to me, like the inverse of that.
Interesting.
But yeah, let me hear where you want to start this out, because we're going to have lots to talk about and lots to make people mad, I'm sure.
I don't think that I have a problem with Postman being noir, as much as it's just like, if that's noir, then I feel like it opens the door to so many other things being noir, which we'll talk about as we go in. But we can just dive right into these two movies. Let's start with Postman Rings Twice, exclusively because I watched that one first. So we'll do it in my viewing order for just completely arbitrary reasons. Yeah, we can, if you haven't seen it, too bad. Stop watching now, go watch it. We're just going to spoil the whole thing. I'm just kidding. We'll talk like loosely about each one first, and then towards the end we can get into spoilers.
Okay.
If we want to, and I mean towards the end of talking about each one, so it'll be
Right. We'll give you a little
4-part
warning before
episode.
we go in there.
It'll be episode 1, or part 1 will be no spoilers. Postman Always Rings Twice. Part 2 will be spoilers. Postman Always Rings Twice. You can get it from here. So this movie starts with a guy drifting into town, and he rides in with the DA, right?
I think so. I don't
Which
remember.
will be important for later.
The DA is
Or-
important later, though, for sure.
Or will it be? And then he ends up working at this like hamburger joint gas station. So that's pretty much the movie.
That's it.
Roll
dude.
credits.
He just works at the hamburger station. But in that hamburger station is one of the most attractive women of all time, ever. And
Apparently.
that's where the problems really begin. That's where the problems really begin.
I feel like it's impossible to talk about this movie without spoilers, though. Because the
So
whole
we're going to
point,
take it back. We're just going to spoil it.
Yeah, we could
Forget
just
it.
spoil it. I mean, honestly, though, if you read like the synopsis of the movie on, where was it, on HBO Max? It literally tells you the whole
Yes.
thing on the synopsis is like, man begins working at a gas station, meets a beautiful woman, and they kill her husband together, and things go bad. Like, that's the synopsis on there. So
True. So it's more so, do they get away with it? Do they not get away with it? But then if you look at the title, spoiler alert in and of itself, kind of, it's like,
yeah,
like an allegory or something like that. Like justice is always going to ring twice,
it's always
It's-
going to ring twice.
So, yeah, to your point, I think
She
we're going to
is-
spoil it.
She is a beautiful woman. There's no doubt about it. And her husband is not a beautiful guy. How old is he? 90 years old? What's going on there? How did this happen? All right, so let's just talk about. We could just dive right into it. I think, like you said, the visual. This was very brightly lit, like the entire
Yeah.
time. I feel like noir. I guess it's high contrast lighting, so it did have that, is what they say. But I felt like it was so flatly lit. Like it felt more like the set of like The Office or Parks and Rec. Like the whole time I was like, man, it's nighttime out, but it's broad daylight pretty much. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
So that was a little interesting. And you said that was the biggest thing that you didn't feel was noir for this to you.
Yeah, I guess like visually it didn't strike me as noir, but that's where those multiple meanings we talked about in the first episode, I think,
Right.
matter so much. It's like, it's not doing the film noir style of lighting and cinematography, which Night of the Hunter leans heavily into.
Yeah.
But I think it is a world of like cynicism and lust and desire kind of leading to ends and corruption and all that kind of stuff. So it is noir to me with all of the story beats and story factors of
Right.
it. But that's why I find it helpful to have multiple definitions where we're talking cinematography noir or story
Yeah.
noir or things like that. Philosophically noir. This one I feel like is very philosophically noir.
Yeah. I think philosophically the biggest issue for me is that we're like, if film productions work on miles, we are like 6 inches from this being a comedy. Like they are just bumbling through everything. And I think that's like the biggest issue that pulls out to me is like, this is crime, sure, but this is like goofy. We're like close to this being like, hey bud, want to kill my husband? And like, let's get him. And then, we blew up the cat. I don't know what happened. Like, what is going on, dude? This is like,
And I find it strange
goofy.
because the characters were all really, really good, right? But
Yeah.
the plot, I mean, maybe you don't disagree with that, but the plot itself was kind of, to your point, it is soap. I think when you said soap opera over text, that was very accurate. I was like, yeah, I would definitely walk in on daytime television at like a hospital and see this and be like,
Yeah.
all right, nice.
Like, the
But
only thing we're
characters-
missing is everybody coming back to life at the end. Otherwise, we're golden. So the characters.
The characters, I think, are deeper, at least looking at like the femme fatale.
Yeah.
I think she's a more richly drawn version of that, where a lot of femme fatales are like, look at that evil son of a gun over here, and it's just like a very thin caricature of this bad lady. And this one is kind of like so, thoroughly sketched that you're almost like, she might be serious. I feel like I actually believe her motivations. Maybe she does love this guy. Maybe like it's not all just self-gain like you would think a femme fatale. So I liked their take on the femme fatale, but let me hear your take, because I know you are struggling to even see her as a femme fatale in a lot of ways.
Right. To your point, I think that this is this could just branch into a whole long discussion of what really even is a femme fatale. Because
Right.
if
I don't
she
know.
is, I'm not sure anymore. This has been my experience with A Postman Always Rings Twice. Is if this is noir, then I have no idea what noir is. To this point, right? In my mind's eye, femme fatale is intentionally antagonistic or more ambiguous, right? Like they come in and they give the job, but there's a massive ulterior motive going on. And I think from the moment you meet her name escapes me right now, Yeah, it escapes me.
Talk about those deep characters, and neither of us remember that. Wasn't the guy's name Frank? Like, maybe no.
Yeah,
Frank.
it was Frank
Cora?
and
Is
Nick
her name
and Cora. Cora, yeah, because I think Nick and Nora are the characters from A Thin Man, but I could be wrong about that. Don't
Nick and
quote me
Nora's
on
Infinite Playlist, also a movie.
that. Never
Not
seen
noir.
it. Definitely noir, 100%. Never seen it, but I know. As soon as you meet Cora, she sees this guy and she's like, "Oh, he's attractive. I got to go convince my husband not to hire him because this is going to lead to bad things."
Right.
And that does not seem like something a femme fatale would do at all. That seems like the exact opposite of what a femme fatale. The femme fatale in this scenario, I feel like, would have been like, "Hey, like the Nick is like, get Frank out of here. I don't like this guy. He's a roustabout." She's like, "No, we definitely need him to work for us because if we don't, then he's gonna get away from me, and I need to sink my claws into him." But she was like very like aggressively like, "Don't do it." As the story progresses, she gave him a higher pay raise to keep him around. But at that point, she was like, I mean, bro literally just like 5 minutes into knowing her, grabs her and gives her a fat old smooch, and she's like, don't do it again, Frank, please." So very confused on her because she doesn't seem quite like the seductress. The only seductive thing she does is just be a bombshell. So I was a little confused about that because, I mean, as the story progresses, I guess she becomes more of a femme fatale, but I'm not even sure if that's true. It seems like it all is like kind of like, oh, this lady's been almost like a kept woman her whole entire life because she never thought she would find a guy she would really love, and hasn't, because this story is, this is the first time it's happened. We know that because her husband's still alive. He's not dead yet. So this isn't like a tragic, like, maybe it is for Frank. Frank seems like he can't resist the pretty ladies, but it seems like Cora's like been a really solid wife for 75 years at least. I don't know how old is this guy.
110 years they've been.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
I
dude,
don't know.
I
What do you
think,
think?
again, we don't know what we're talking about because I disagree with femme. I don't know what a femme fatale is, but I disagree with your vision of a femme fatale. But both might be wrong. One of us could be right. But to me, I think they don't have to be bad. I think it's just like the femme fatale is like a woman who leads to the guy's or other characters' demise. Like they're like involved in bringing it to the end.
And they can just do that by being attractive.
I mean, yeah,
Is
like
what you're saying.
well, they can do that by like without nefarious purposes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I gotcha.
It's just that his lust and his love and all the stuff that he has for her is what's driving this plot. Doesn't mean that she has to be bad.
You're telling me that a tree, for all intents and purposes, could be the femme fatale if bro's got the thing for the tree.
I guess what I'm saying is he's gonna make it with the tree.
Now I know what noir is.
Case closed.
A case closed.
Does that make sense though? Like I don't see a
yeah.
nefarious purpose having to be a part of it.
It
Maybe
makes
a lot of
sense,
times it is.
Do I agree with it?
I know you don't agree with it because that's why I said neither of us agree, but maybe neither of us are right. Maybe one of us is right. I don't know.
We could get a side. I'm trying to think of the right word that I was supposed to use there. A backdoor talk about Casablanca in here. You've seen Casablanca, right? Mm-hmm, Now, would she also? She's then a femme fatale, right?
Yeah, I guess, but she leaves at the end with that famous scene. It's not
she
really her
also
fault that he's getting in the situation, is it? I mean, she's not in charge of these people coming in there in the war and all that.
But is she in charge of him, of her rizzing him up in Paris and then abandoning him? Is the question.
No, I think
otherwise he doesn't care at all about. There is no moral dilemma between him and Laszlo because Laszlo is the objective right. And the subjective right is I need to be with, it's Ilsa Lind, I think is her name. So Rick's like, I gotta go with her. And Laszlo, but then he's like, but Laszlo is actually like trying to save the people. And that's where you get, because I don't even know if, I think depending on who you ask, Casablanca is not even a film noir. Because it's a spy movie as opposed to a detective movie. But I think she is a femme fatale, especially if we go from the old. All it takes for someone to be a femme fatale is for the main character to be lusted after them.
No, not that they just have to be lusted after them. They have to lust after him, and that be what leads to the demise, or like leads them into a setup, or leads them into a bad situation.
Would be true for her, right? For him and her, right? Because otherwise, without her,
I guess
if
the ending confuses me though.
Our main man, Victor Laszlo, rolls up and he's like, I need these papers to get out of Casablanca. And he doesn't have the girl that Rick has a whole entire history with. Then Rick would be like, oh, I got the papers. Here you go. And then they would leave. There wouldn't be any like,
well, then, yeah, she
could
can be a femme fatale. I don't mind her being a femme fatale. That's my point. Is like, I don't think the femme fatale has to be some evil bad guy.
Dude,
I don't see that.
This is intense. Yeah. Wild. But back to Postman. Backtrack or backdoor, sidetrack, whatever it is. Casablanca case closed. We'll get back to Casablanca for its own episode one day. So, anyways, we should just keep progressing with the story, right?
Sure, go ahead. I've got thoughts. I've got notes.
No notes. I have no notes. I didn't even know what to write. I started writing something. I was like, well, is that true anymore? I don't know. This case is rocking me to my core. I'm becoming more and more jaded every episode. And the tree over there is starting to look a little more attractive to me. Sorry. So they kiss. Then the husband starts to think. Like, he starts to get a little jealous, it seems like, but then he's also an old, tottering man, and then he's not jealous anymore.
He's not.
I can't tell. Very confusing on that. And so then they go about it, and the husband, like, sees them together. He's like, oh, didn't expect you to be with her, Frank. And he's like, but I'm going on a week-long trip tomorrow. Enjoy, kiddies. And then he leaves, and then they have, like, a blissful week. And in passing, at some point, Frank's like, I wish you would die in a car accident.
Yeah, makes a little joke about it. Yeah.
But it was definitely not a joke. It was just like an exasperation, angry thought. Like, he wasn't like, oh, that would be funny if he died, right?
Well, he's gonna tell you it's a joke.
And she's like, how could you say that? And he's like, oh, I was joking. Not joking, though. And so then they go and they have this week long of bliss. And then she's like, we can't let him live when he comes back. And he's like, what? I was kidding around. And she's like, no, you weren't. And he's like, was I? And then they plan to kill him. And then, of course, when they plan to do that, they are going to, like, I'm still a little confused. For a while, I thought they were going to, like, electrocute him in the bathtub. But I guess they're just going to knock him out.
Dude, yeah, what is the plan? Because didn't they bonk him in the head in the car, and then he, like, falls with the guy in the car? Like, it's a nightmare.
Well, that happens later. The first one is they try to drown him in the tub or something. And the cop pulls up at the gas station, and he's like,
their plans are terrible, dude.
Yeah, dude. This is what I'm saying. This is where... So we can camp here for a little while. Like you said, the second plan's terrible. The first plan's terrible. Every plan is terrible. For me, and this is kind of where I got pulled out of it. Well, I mean, from the get-go, with it being so brightly lit, I was a little confused about if it was noir or not. For me, I thought that crime would be, like, for it to have crime as the main staple for it to be a noir, I would think that the people doing the crime would have to have, like, at least a little bit of skill in it. But literally from the rip, like, starting off, the first time they try anything, they're immediately under suspicion. There's no opportunity for them to get away with it. The only way to get away with it is by probably my favorite character of the entire show, the super weaselly defense lawyer guy was great. That dude was hilarious. I love that dude.
And we'll get into that guy and that plot line because I like that. But dude, I don't think they I mean, you're saying that they have to be competent or have a history of crime for it to ever fall into noir?
At least they have to be, like, somewhat good at it. Otherwise, it's like this is where we get into the bumbling. And I'm like hard pressed from this moment on, from the first attempt at murder to the end of the movie. It's like, man, are these guys just, is this a Three Stooges act that's like slightly more serious? Like everything they do is wrong. And it's wrong in a, not in like a morally wrong way. It's wrong in like a, how are these guys so stupid way? You know what I mean? Like I was watching it and I was like, the cop just pulled up and you got the ladder there that's never supposed to be there. And he said that if somebody pulled up, he was going to call in and say that not to do it. And she was like, no, don't do that. We got to do it no matter what. And then they sort of have an alibi because the cop's there. And the cat gets blown up and all this stuff. And it's like, part of me is like, well, why was it even questionable at all, right? Like if the lights went out and this guy, that's like a perfect time for a 95-year-old man to flip over and fall is when it gets dark. So why was it even like, why were they still suspicious? So that was like kind of the whole thing is like, it seemed like it was a good plan. And then still the cops were like, I know you guys did it. And it's like, what, how many 95-year-olds do you have standing on a wet bathroom floor when a big power converter blows out outside the window? Who's not going to slip? I might slip.
So I think this is a matter of taste, though. I think that you would prefer them to have...
My tastes are correct.
I think you prefer them to have competency and that you disagree with the writing here, which is totally fine. Like, this is too many conveniences. It doesn't make any sense. I don't like that. That's fair. But I think to say that has to be definitionally baked into noir is not fair. Because you have things like Blue Ruin, which is a good modern noir, and the guy sucks at trying to carry out his plan of like revenge. He like messes something up in the bathroom trying to get the guy and like chickens out basically, and then he goes and tries to slash the guy's tire and cuts his hand. It's just like one thing after another. He's like, you suck at this, but it doesn't mean it's not a noir. You know what I'm saying? Just because he sucks at what he's trying to do. I don't know. I don't see like a competency needed for the definition myself.
I guess it's just like in my mind and this is clearly not the case since this is one of the most classic noirs of all time, but in my mind it's like, I guess the whole point of this is that these guys were straight-laced people until they met each other, and that's where I guess the femme fatale part comes in. She just inspired this guy to do a bunch of criminal acts and get away with it because the moral ambiguity is, well, this guy's old and he has all these weird ideas where he's going to ruin this girl's life. And so now the just thing to do is kill him so that she doesn't have to do it. But it's also, he loves her, so he's willing to do anything for her.
Now you're getting it.
But at the same time, though, that happens in a bunch of stuff that's not noir, though, doesn't it? This is where I'm like losing the through line. Because like I said...
Do you have an example of like where that would come in, like what you're thinking of?
I mean, a primo example of this would be the TV show You. The whole plot of You is this guy is a serial killer who meets a girl, obsesses over and stalks her, and then throws all moral accurateness or goodness aside for her as the greater good and kills everybody and eventually kills her. And
I'm going to see if You is considered noir at all as well, because that's an interesting point.
A Postman Rings Twice is noir. You has to be noir because it's exactly the same thing, but it's not noir for sure. It is 100% not noir because it's like too soapy, I guess. And this is what I'm having a hard time understanding. Yeah, it says no.
The show is not. Yeah, go ahead.
It is though because it also has self-narration, which I mean is Dexter noir? Because Dexter is pretty much the same thing, right? He has a chronic issue. I think Dexter, I haven't watched it either. Dexter is a medical examiner for the police, and every time he sees somebody who kills somebody, he goes and he kills them himself. So he's a serial killer who serial kills killers. So this is what I'm saying is like, this just opens the door to so many things in my mind that it's like, because this whole plot, you can literally make probably like we said, you just have to work. The TV show Jane the Virgin is based off of old, like, Mexican telenovelas is the whole concept, like the whole through line of it. and it's filled with all this sort of stuff. Like, people meet people, they fall in love with people, they do crazy things, someone's trying to get killed the whole entire time. Like, it is not too far removed from a Postman Only Rings Twice, Always Rings Twice. And it's certainly not noir. But that's what I'm saying, is like, you open the door to so many things being like, all right, well, this is very similar to a Postman Always Rings Twice, so it's got to be noir then. But it's not, and that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, these are the unanswerable questions, and this is why the case is closed, and that we're having to end this PI firm before it even begins. Week
the
2.
Case will never close. We're going to be stuck on this.
I mean, it's true. It's like, I can make an argument and really defend Postman Rings Twice as a noir, but then, to your point, everything you kind of agree with or stand by in your argument then opens a floodgate of like, well, what about this? And then it's like, I don't know how to undefine that, or like disqualify that as
I haven't
noir.
watched
I don't know how
Grey's Anatomy, but I feel like Grey's Anatomy would be a noir off of the Postman Only Rings Twice thing. Because the only thing I know about Grey's Anatomy is that they're having sex all the time, and it's super lusty. And I'm sure murder comes into play at least once. So if it's like sex and murder are the only qualifications for noir, then we're like...
Well, I don't think sex and murder. To me, I think what makes Postman Rings Twice a noir, like I said, is the philosophical underpinnings of looking at corruption and things like that. And that's exactly why I wanted to get into that story plot beat where they get caught, is because I like how they look like, they basically show them getting strong-armed and a little bit manipulated and things like that. So very noir to me is that you see this corruption and manipulation and stuff happen with the main plot with Nick and Cora, or Frank and Cora. And then you see that happening, like, with the police doing that with them and manipulating them. And it, like, asks you about, like, what is corruption and manipulation? And is this above the law, or is this the police also being corrupt manipulators, just like, Frank? And so I like that aspect of Postman Rings Twice as noir, because it's like, that, to me, is something classically noir, is questioning systems and looking at... good and evil. We're going to look at Night of the Hunter next. We literally love and hate on his fists, and it's like that whole duality, and that's why you love the shadows, the white and the black, and it's very noir to me in that sense.
Yeah, I like that. And that's the other thing too that I was thinking about, kind of as we were discussing this, is like, is it possible for... I'm not saying that this is true for Postman Always Rings Twice, but is it possible for, like, the first half of a movie to not be noir, and then the second half to be noir, and really pull it in? Because that's the thing that's, like, a little interesting to me, is it's like, both Nick, Frank, and Cora, none of them seem like too cynical. They seem almost more hopeful the entire time, and it's like more desperate. There is no kind of like, because let me just look up the definition of cynical here to see if I'm just talking out my keister here.
I get what you're getting at, though. It does make sense. I mean, they always talk about noir having to be so bleak and nihilistic.
Believing that people are motivated purely by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity.
Well, self-interest, yeah.
But
they're literally going to kill another guy because it's not within their interest.
Well, I think they're operating out of that, but I don't think either one of them are cynical. I think their actions, like neither one of them believe that everyone's only working out of self-interest until later on in the story. So I guess they get more and more cynical. Like, for better or for worse, their actions are not pure, but their love seems to be completely, like, pure and motivating. Like, it's like, all right, well, we got to be together, and this is what we have to do to do it. And then as the stuff goes on, they're like, oh, you're only interested in yourself. So it becomes maybe that's the point, is that it becomes more noir as the story goes on, because I feel like
observation,
both the DA and the other lawyer, whose name I can't remember, but he was
definitely
great.
Not gonna remember that guy's name.
He was just perfectly cast, dude. And he gets the guy with we're going to plead guilty. And then as soon as they get into the case, he's like, pleading not guilty, Your Honor. And then strikes the deal and just gets him. It was great. I love that guy. And he was objectively the worst character as well, though. But he was hilarious. Both of those guys are ultra cynical. So maybe that's what it is. It's like, it just seemed interesting to me that they were so, like, doe-eyed and uncynical in the beginning. And then, I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is as the story progresses, they get more and more like, oh, I can't trust you because you're going to turn on me, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes with his fatal flaw to that point and goes after
now you're hitting
the Madge girl.
You're getting the real juice here. This is the real juiciness right here. This
is what I'm saying, though, is right now I could be talking about the Postman Only Rings Twice, or I could be talking about regular old daytime television. That's what I'm confused about. It's like, are all soap operas noir? Because they have the same through lines that we've been talking about this entire time. A guy meets a girl, they have a lusty relationship, they decide to kill as many people as they can because they have to, and then he falls in love with another girl. Like, that is literally the plot line. I've not watched any, but from the brief glances I've ever seen, that is the plot line of every single soap opera I've heard of. And it's also very similar lighting-wise. Are we ready to... Is this something... Can somebody tell me I'm wrong, please? I don't want this to be true. The case is taking me to my wit's end. I don't know what to do.
I know, dude. It's frustrating. It makes you want to just abandon the whole entire organization. But
I'm starting to think of drinking. I've never had a sip.
Never had a sip. Now I'm going to be that guy from Night of the Hunter, dude. I'm going to be that guy by the end of this who just loves the old drink. Yeah, man, that's a great question that I don't have answers to. And again, it's like, that shouldn't even be a thought, right? We should never have ever thought of that. That soap operas are noirs. But here we are. Here we are, and I don't have a way to defend it. This is how lost I am during Noir November. This is unbelievable, dude.
We could drop the soap opera line, and let's talk a little more about these cases. What did you think of that? What do you think of how this movie kind of like rounds out with the blackmail coming in? Was pretty cool. I liked that. I thought that.
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on it, dude. I think what is cool, and I never noticed it until you mentioned it, is like sort of in a way like No Country for Old Men, where the guy just finds the money and then he's involved now. Yeah. It's like taking someone who wasn't in the world and now throwing him to the world of noir. And I think that is a great way to look at this movie. It's like almost just a classic Paramount love story, like the movie Love Story or whatever that movie was called, from the 70s with Ryan O'Neal. You take that and then you just just giving you more details about that movie. And then you extract that.
I don't even know if that's its name, but he just kept like giving us more info. But was that a noir? Sorry. Anyways,
you take that, you extract that, and then you put them into the world of, blackmail and murder and corrupt cops, and it's just you're taking these fish out of the water and putting them into the noir world. I think that might be maybe the cool brilliance of the movie in and of itself. Is that they are growing into a noir. But my other question is like, and this is kind of off topic, is do they even know they're making, like, did they set out with, let's make a noir when they made this?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I'm still really having a hard time pinning down what defines something being made into a noir, because the Postman Will Eventually Ring Twice was that a book before? I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, because if it was...
From the guy who wrote Double Indemnity, and it's almost the same plot.
If it was it a hard-boiled? And that's where... Because that's what the original noirs were, taking hard-boiled detective fiction and making it in the stark way that they make it visually. And then after that, it blossomed into whatever it was. And that's where, this is what the issue is. I'm not really sure what qualifies as a noir, or if people set out to make noirs, or if it was like, if it has moral ambiguity, it's a noir immediately. But I don't know. So it's a good question.
This is the most frustrating ever, because to your point, moral ambiguity, what doesn't have that? What are we talking about here? Everything should be noir. Then I'm gonna rip my own hair out, dude. This is it. This is the last.
Yeah, this is super interesting. Case closed. I'm logging off. I'm just kidding. What I was gonna say is this is kind of what happens is that I'm also having a tough time with the through line on is all this stuff happens and we get to the point where it's like, all right, more noir, more noir. There's actually like they pull out some guns. There's a guy arming them with. You need the detective who works for the defense lawyer. Like, I got a signed confession that you killed this guy. I'm going to use that to get money for you for the rest of your life. They pull probably the most competent move of the entire movie, and they just absolutely take that guy to pieces and get him to call his buddy and bring the stuff in. And then Nora is nowhere to be found. Cora is nowhere to be found. And Frank's, like, waiting there for him, but leaves the guy in plain sight. So the other guy comes in and sees his buddy, and his buddy's like, he's over there. So stupid. What the heck? And then the guy comes in, he's about to get him, but Cora comes from behind and pulls the gun on him. And so they get the papers. I was like, now they're going to kill these guys. It's going to be sick. It'll finally be a full noir. They just let him go somehow, and there's no issues with that later on. But I digress there. And they get through all that, and then this is when her mother dies and she goes back east, and then he goes and meets the other girl, and that ends up coming back to bite him later because she's like, your girlfriend brought this back, I hate you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna turn you over. And then he's like, no, I love you, it was just a dalliance, don't kill me. And then they go and she's like, I trust you, let's swim out into the water together and I won't be able to swim back and then you can bring me back. And he does, and everything's fine. And then, dude, they run into the sidewall and she dies. So this is what I'm saying is, like, I feel like there's just got to be more intentionality to noir. This is like literally a comedy of errors. Everything happens and you're like, none of this would, it just seems so like accidental, and I don't understand.
Well, is that just playing into the nihilistic worldview of noir, where it's like, hey, everything is meaningless, in the end you die, screw it, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's a part of that branch of noir where it's just like the cynicism, nihilism.
I feel like he got railroaded here too. I just don't understand how they can be like, oh yeah, you intentionally drove the vehicle into a post, which would have possibly killed you too. Like, that's like, if there's a way to murder someone, aiming for like a tree to put my wife in the passenger seat into the tree is like gotta be the worst way to do it, right? How am I not going to?
Also going to fly out of there. Yeah, it's like also going to be terrible for you.
And then at the end, the guy's like, "Oh well, even if you get off with this murder, which we know you for sure committed, we have enough information from the note she left that you killed the husband with her." And it's like, it just seems so.
Postman always rings twice, dude.
He does always ring twice.
He's going to get you.
Which I'm still unsure where that came from. That was like. Is that a thing? Was that a thing back in the day?
I think it's just like a. Is analogy the right word I'm looking for? It's just like an analogy. Yeah. I'm going to use that word for how, like, you think you can get away with it, and then trust me, justice is going to come back around. Postman always rings twice. Like, you're gonna get caught. That kind of thing. Which is what it's set up from the beginning. Like, they kind of get away with it, and it's like, we're going to be good, and then it's like, hey, trust me. They're going to come back to roost, kind of thing.
But dude, now here's the other question: is the postman also always rang twice for Nick, right? So are we saying that him dying was also justice?
No, I don't think so.
There you go. Postman always
because they went after him twice. You're saying?
Well, they failed once,
right?
And he got away with it. Which,
I mean,
and then
this is the good stuff, right? This is the good noir stuff right here.
Or maybe it's the bad stuff. We don't know. It's so morally ambiguous.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I like that.
Because then he comes back and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm selling this place, and you'll never have to work a day in your life." And then, like 3 seconds later, he's like, "But you will have to work, taking care of my paralyzed sister. Sorry about that." And so
yeah, the Postman rings twice does affect. I feel like it is good for that. It's like, you know, they think they're justice. They think they're the ones like making the decisions here, and they come once, twice, and then obviously that's on the other end now. They're getting sought after, and justice is coming for them once, twice, and then they all get got in the end.
Except for Madge. Madge is out there sleeping with random men still. Which would really make the guy, Mr. Reverend Powell from Night of the Hunter, very upset.
Dude, he would not like that.
He would not like that at all.
He would not like that. Transitioning into a better movie now. I like this movie a lot. Night of the Hunter is so good, in my opinion. Visually, just so striking and so noir looking.
Sure. Right.
But then that gets into the question of Southern Gothic. What is that?
Never
is
even
that
heard
noir?
of it, dude. Isn't that the two guys, the one's holding a pitchfork and the other one's standing next to him?
I mean, that actually might be what that's called. Yeah,
that's
maybe,
American
right?
Gothic.
American Gothic.
Yeah, this one's... Let me just hedge both of these movies right here by saying, I for sure thought that the mean streets had to play a role in noir. I thought that it had to be in a city for it to be considered a noir, which apparently throw that
Strong
right
disagree.
out the window. A clearly strong disagree. It doesn't matter at all. But yeah, I did think that that was the case. I thought that... I think that this is what I was trying to say earlier. It's like, when I think of noir, I think of the seedy underbelly and crime being like thrust to the forefront. And for me, that's like gotta be in the city.
Maybe you're looking for crime fiction, but also wouldn't be in the city.
What'd you say?
I was saying maybe you're looking for more like crime fiction exclusively, but even that doesn't have to be in the city.
I mean, primo noir apparently is Ozark, right? Ozark is like ultimate noir.
I don't watch
apparently.
it. I don't know what that is.
Ozark is literally this. It's a bunch of guys who aren't criminals. They get caught up in crime. People are sleeping around. All of it's in the search for money and greed and power. And then they all just have sad lives.
So Breaking Bad is noir, and Ozark is noir, and Sicario is noir, and Magnum PI is noir.
I don't know, dude.
There's so many.
I'm losing the through line here on what makes it noir. But I mean, Postman Always Rings Twice is like a goofier version of Ozark, I feel like. Which might be a hot take. People are going to be super pissed at this episode. But anyways.
I know. I think that we already made a lot of enemies by saying a lot of the stuff we said about Postman Rings Twice.
I want to be proven wrong. Somebody tell me how they're different, and I'll agree.
Tell us why we're a bunch of
You'll have to convince me.
empty skulls.
What'd you say?
I said, tell us why we're a bunch of empty skulls, please. Help us out.
Maybe this will go viral, and it'll be great for us.
You'll be so mad at us.
It'll go viral in a negative way.
Articles about these jamokes ripping off.
That's all I've got to say about it. Anyways, so yeah, Night of the Hunter starts with a guy
Reverend
snapping his knife open in broad daylight. Was that a euphemism? I was a little disturbed by that. Did that disturb anybody else?
The movie disturbs me deeply, dude. That movie freaks me out, and I cried at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's freaking good. I like it.
It is a good movie.
Robert Mitchum is so creepy and disturbing in it. And
He is.
here's the thing, I have one reservation about the movie, and it's that, like, is it an anti-religious film? Like, is it an anti-God film?
I'm not
Or
sure.
not really?
I was thinking about that a little bit, but then I was also thinking that, like, a through line for a lot of movies in general is the old cults are super creepy, and it seemed more of a oh man, I'm trying to think of what it is. A social commentary on the power of religion if you put in the wrong hands. Because I mean, there's a movie that I liked a lot, which I guess is also noir now that I think about it, would be The Devil All the Time with Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson.
And that's that Southern Gothic I was talking about, too.
Yeah.
Like that kind of genre.
Robert Pattinson is he comes in as the new pastor to a church, and he's basically like your classic ultra creepy culty pastor, where he's like handsome and charismatic, and then he's like, yeah, and I don't make the rules, but to get to heaven, you have to sleep with me, and he like picks on little girls to do that with, and
Jeez.
that's where the whole story kind of goes nuts. It's pretty good. I really liked it. I think it's probably my favorite Tom Holland performance. I thought he did a really good job. But all of this is to say, I was thinking, like, there were certain points in time where I was like, okay, maybe this is anti-religion. But then, dude, we have the wild, I mean, we're jumping way to the end here, where they both sing the song together, and it's kind of like a weird, positive religious experience. Weird stuff. But anyways, it starts with him, and he's somewhere, I can't remember where he is. Isn't he like at a road show or something like that? And there's like a
Is this what
little girl.
The girl that he's watching?
Yeah, and then he like, this is what I'm saying. This is where I was kind of curious about the euphemism. It almost seemed like if when he opened the knife, he was like aroused, and that's why he opened the knife.
Well, I do think the movie, to your point of like social commentary, I think it is a lot like an allegory for like sexual abuse of all kinds to kids.
Yeah,
and like, I think that is a big part of it, and that's why I think it resonates even today. Like when we're looking at everything with the trafficking and everything like that, I think this movie is just playing like symbols and allegories for that, and that's why it's so freaking hard to watch. I feel like for me, in a lot of ways, like, it's a disturbing movie.
It is certainly disturbing, but it is. We'll talk more as we go through. But so all that happens, he like pulls out his knife, both figuratively and literally. Maybe I'm confused on that part. And then he gets arrested, like right in the middle of that, because he stole a car. So right from the get-go, like this dude is. I mean, it starts with him driving this car that he apparently stole and talking to God in like very very creepy monologue, like wild stuff. And they never outrightly say it, and they never outrightly illustrate it, but it seems like he just goes around that any person, any like girl who's lustful, no matter the age, even if they're just like, it seemed like even if they were like innocent, cute little girls, he assumed were like lustful, evil women, and he would just kill them. Mm-hmm. But they never say that, but it definitely seems like that's what's going on, right? Like, I
think, isn't it like just for some reason he thinks, and I think it was maybe based off a real serial killer too, like he seems like he's talking to God, and he feels like he's, and not like how you and I were talking to God, like he thinks he's genuinely talking to God, hearing like, I should kill this person because that person's doing something wrong. I think he like thinks he's the righteousness, and the lust definitely seems to be one of his biggest things. And since this came out in the 50s, I think they're being very tame with how they showed it, but I think you're exactly right. I think he probably is getting aroused, and it's like mixed with like
as soon
self-hatred and things like that.
I gotta kill you.
Now you got me hard, you're gonna die, that kind of thing. Like, it's pretty disturbing.
That's brutal. Brutal stuff. So then we go from there to massive jump cut, super jarring.
I know, was very jarred. It was kind of jarring, dude. I was like,
this guy, we have no idea who he is, comes like charging up in his car, and he's like, let's get their names right once and for all. It was,
I'll pull up the IMDb list so we don't.
It was John.
Mess this up for everybody. Jingleheimer. John Jacob Jingleheimer. All right,
his name is my name too.
The guy who runs up is Peter Graves from Mission Impossible. His name's Ben Harper in this.
And then it was John and what was the little girl's name?
John and Pearl are the kids.
John and Pearl. Yeah, so he goes to John and Pearl.
Is Reverend guy.
Yeah, dude, freaking Reverend, creepy pal.
Yeah.
John and Pearl are standing out there playing, and their dad rolls up, and he's like, "Quick, take this $10,000. Don't tell anybody." And he's like, "No, wait, I gotta hide it somewhere." And he's like, "No, they'll look there. They'll look there." And then he comes back, and of course, Pearl's holding a doll, and he hides it in there, which you don't find out till later. But it's like super obvious. I felt like it's got to be in the doll, right? There's no. I would have hid it in a tree. But I digress.
If you were the Reverend, it would have been a 5-second movie. It would have just been, "Thanks, let me take that doll, see you later."
Yeah, exactly. Good thing I'm not an ultra creepy reverend guy. we got lucky here. So that happens, and then this is you're like, oh, well, what does this have to do with anything? But they catch the old Peter Graves guy, which what did you say his actual name was? Doesn't matter, because he immediately dies.
His real name is Peter Graves. In the movie, it's Ben Harper, but he's from Mission Impossible, bro. He's your guy.
I've actually never watched the old Mission Impossible show.
But is he also not in the Mission Impossible, the first one, or no? I thought someone plays him then, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think they have
gotcha.
John Voight play him. But yeah,
never mind.
He gets put in jail, and his cellmate is the Reverend Powell, who tries to like sleep talk with him. Crazy.
Dude, it's the funniest scene in the whole movie, bro. When he like pops his head down like and gets sucked in the face and drops down. I laughed so hard. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, iconic stuff there. And he's like tries to get the information from him. He just knows that there's money at this point, and he knows that it's somewhere on the farm. And then he gets out and he goes and he sings the Bringing in the Sheaves song, dude. Super creepy, super haunting. Happens like nonstop. People just start singing along with him. What the heck is going on here?
Super weird.
And he rolls up and like, I was confused about this. I thought priests weren't allowed to marry people, but I guess he's not a priest. He's just
not
a reverend.
A priest, bro. I don't think he's a reverend either. I think he's self-proclaimed, and that's about it. Like, I don't think this guy's anything other than an absolute psychopath.
The two best characters of the entire film were the Spoons, Mr. and Mrs. Spoon, dude. Those really annoying, awful people who ran the Spoons general store.
I love the part where the guy was like, let me just get a drink. And he just starts drinking the thing, and the wife's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the best part was I felt like he was like, oh, Reverend Powell really needs a drink. And the wife was like, he's a priest. He's not going to take a drink. He said, well, the drink was for me. Just swigged it, dude. That was hilarious.
This guy.
Yeah, so the wife is like your classic ultra annoying busybody lady. That's what I was hoping. As soon as I watched it and she came on the screen, I was like, I'm going to definitely say on the podcast that she was my favorite character because of how much I hate her. She was terrible. And she strong arms the wife of the now dead bank robber into marrying the reverend dude. Like, what the heck? She was like, oh, those kids really need a dad. And this guy's
dude, that wife was like maybe one of the worst characters ever, like worst written. Like, I feel like they were a plot device if I've ever seen a plot device. They were just there. It was weird.
True. Yeah, then you get a super uncomfortable scene where she's like, time to do my wifely duties. And he's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. Crazy. And then this whole time he keeps like interrogating John and Pearl, being like, where's the money? And John's like, he asked me where the money is, Mom. And he's like, you ever tell your mom I did that, I'm going to kill you. And then he's like, he asked where the money is and said he's going to kill me, Mom. Then she's like, talks to him, and then all of a sudden she goes on a very long trip for the rest of eternity.
Mm-hmm. One of the coolest shots in a movie maybe ever.
Yeah,
showing her on the trip, dude, under the water with her hair going and like the weird like moss. Very sick shot.
And the uncle guy, who I don't think was actually the real uncle.
Yeah, just the drunkest guy ever.
Yeah, exactly. Different than the other drunk guy.
Yeah, different drunk guy.
So all of this happens, and this is like, to your point of maybe it is a social commentary, literally crazy that this dude, all that it took for, I mean, if he was even creepier and like pedophilia was his thing, he literally could just go around and find widowed mothers, and since he has a good reputation, could just marry them and then kill them, and then he could have like 500 children by the end of this movie, because there were no rules. There was like no vetting of him. He just literally killed the woman and took over the kids, and like to literally just torture them to get the information about the money. It was super disturbing. I did not like
Dude,
that
it was
at all.
a dark, bleak movie, and that's where like we haven't really gotten into this debate yet with this one. But what makes this noir?
Yeah, that's a
Is
good
it just
question.
that it's crime related? Because I mean, again, back to No Country for Old Men. I know the Coen brothers love this movie. Like it reminds me of that same thing I brought up earlier, where it's like there is money, and then this
Right.
person gets involved because of that, and it's like kind of a classic trope. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the Reverend going after this MacGuffin of the money, is that the noir piece, and that's the crime piece. The crime piece is also murder, obviously, and like so we have some crime. We visually look very, very noir. It's like super contrasty, black and white.
Right.
Guillermo
Very
del
dark.
Toro just made Frankenstein, one of his favorite movies too, and you could tell like visually like he's taken a lot of cues from this movie. The guy,
Yeah.
so it looks noir and it's crime related, but other than that, it feels more to me back to the superseding kind of idea from last episode. It seems more like an actual horror movie or something like that, like a Southern Gothic horror, and so
It seemed like
it's hard to see.
a retelling of Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn to me.
It had
Because
those vibes with the boating storyline,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
after he kills the wife, we have like a really goofy escape scene where they tell him where the money is, kind of, and then he starts
Yeah, it
like
was silly. He trips
cackling.
on like a jar.
Yeah, and then John, honestly, new favorite men's adventure fiction character alert. I'm just kidding. I don't even know if this movie would be considered men's adventure fiction. Young guy
I thought John
John.
was definitely going to become a freaking James Bond himself when he was older. He was kind of sick. I liked that guy.
Yeah, dude, he was like a Kevin McAllister type.
Yeah, he had Kevin vibes for sure.
He like
He was
pulls
rocking and
out.
rolling.
Basically, Powell sitting underneath this big shelf filled with jars, and once he starts laughing, he's like, "Oh, it's so simple. I should have thought of the doll right away." Yes, you should have, you idiot. He pulls out the thing holding the thing up, and all of these shelves fall on him, and he literally hits you with one of the like
Yeah, he
goofiest
does.
looks of all time. And then they run up the stairs in maybe the slowest run of all time. He's like pulling Pearl up. They're going maybe like half a mile an hour, probably less than that. It is like painfully slow. And then of course the
Dude,
Reverend comes
kids
running
running,
after him.
nightmare.
Dude, Luelle was pretty fast. She would have gotten out of there immediately. But Powell goes
Kids
running after
guiding
him.
each other running.
Yeah, nightmare. To your point, bro slips on a jar, hits the dirt, then he comes running up. They slam the door right on his finger. Oh, falls down the stairs. Just the goofiest stuff of all time. They lock the
Actual
door.
Home Alone stuff.
Yeah, with like we said, a very disturbing movie has like just a crazy chase scene here, and they escape. To answer your question from earlier, I feel like similar to how Frank and Cora get kind of thrust into this seedy underworld with the corrupt lawyer and the possibly other corrupt lawyer, and they like maybe the world itself is noir, and these guys are just like innocent players who end up getting tainted by the noir world, and that's what makes it a noir. It could be the same thing, right? I think we have a totally different movie where you said it was Ben Harper. That guy seems like a classic noir lead. Like I could follow him on a string of heists for a whole movie, and as like you could do a classic like, oh, the money makes him become more and more evil and more greedy, and he kills everybody around him type of deal, and then they throw in a lusty woman who causes him to do even stupider stuff. Like that's a noir itself. But we get cut off at the knees from that happening by him getting caught and killed. So it seems like whatever he brought continues throughout, right? That greed for the money pulls in, combined with this guy having like... Because, I mean, I don't think there really isn't a femme fatale in this movie, you know?
Yeah,
right?
no, not really, no. And but does a femme fatale, they're not necessary for the genre, right?
I don't know. I know nothing.
Yeah, there's definitely not one, because if
Unless
there was,
it's
he would have killed
Lady
her already.
Greed. is the femme fatale.
Right. Right.
So all of that happens. So I think to your point, I don't know what makes it noir other than it is like it would have been a noir if we hadn't gotten rid of the lead, and so it keeps that like very like heavy crime thing, and you have the MacGuffin, like you said, is crime related. So I'm not sure, but then they, in a truly exciting turn of events, they get to his little dinghy boat guy, John and Pearl do, and they push off just a second before he gets him, like to the point, just a second to the point where
he's
like,
in the water, bro.
Yeah, he's
so
on the boat.
Creepy.
Like, yeah, and so then you have disturbing Huck Finn, where it's John and Pearl are literally just now homeless boat goers, and they just go down the water with $10,000 in cash in Pearl's little dolly, and it's like wild, dude. So yeah, I liked this part. I thought it was kind of cool. What did you think?
Of like the Huck Finn sequences?
Yeah,
in the water? Yeah, I did. I liked it a lot, and I think that's where the heart of it all and like what I really connected to most came out for me is that the older brother through that sequence and like taking care of his sister and just, you know, obviously I saw Grayson and Violet in the whole time, so I was like more emotionally wrapped up in it, but also from like our men's adventure fiction love and standpoint, seeing like this young man striving to be super young man, not even, you can't even call him a young man, a boy, a kid trying to strive to be a young man, trying to be a man, and stepping up into that role. And I just, that was like the heart of it. That's why I ended up, you know, getting emotional at the end. Was in the beginning, you see his dad get arrested in front of him, and he grabs his heart and he says no, and he says don't, and then he does the same exact thing, if you notice, when the hunter's getting the police get him at the end. He grabs his heart, tells him no, because he just wants a dad so bad. Like, even through all that, like, he just wants some guidance from a male in his life. He goes to that uncle who's like on the ground and won't answer him, and he's screaming. Like, that dude's just dry, like desert for good role models in his life that are male.
Yeah, dude, that's a really good point.
So I really liked I was really invested in his story arc, and I think during that quest was like his, you know, becoming a man process, and way too young, but he was like, you know, having to protect and provide and keep his sister safe. It was really cool. I really liked that.
Very cool. And then so they go along the river for a while. One of the creepiest scenes of the film is like really well shot, really cool shot is like them floating down the water, and then you see the Reverend Powell riding a horse in the background singing his like ultra eerie hymn. It's just like horrifying. And
when his horse comes up all slow.
Yeah, dude. I was watching this a little bit on my phone, and IMDb it was on Amazon Prime, so it kept like giving suggestions. Apparently, dude, that shot was filmed with a dwarf on a pony for some reason, for the silhouette. So it wasn't even Robert Mitchum. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that is crazy.
Fun little fact of trivia they gave me. I was like, you're really ruining a super creepy scene because I can't stop laughing.
Don't do this to me. Now I'm thinking about a dwarf on a donkey. What are you doing?
What is going on here? So they get through there, and then they spend the night in a barn, and he like rolls up, and they barely escape, and then they fall asleep in the boat, and they end up stuck on land, and you're like, no, dude, they're cooked. The guy's gonna get them. But then this like really cool old lady gets them, and she has like basically a little orphanage she's starting essentially, where she just takes kids who are worse off and feeds them and has them and puts them to work. And then the story gets like kind of this like you said, maybe it's a homey Southern Gothic feel, where it's just like a good little string of like everything's okay until this dude comes riding up singing his creepy song and tries to take him, because he like sort of seduces one of the young women who is one of the orphans that this lady's taken in. That was weird. I couldn't understand that.
There's a lot of weird stuff like that, and I think the fact that like can't understand it is because it's 1950s when this came out. I think they had to be so subtle with this kind of stuff. But I think when you get into that realm, it's getting into like just assume it's the creepiest, grossest thing you could imagine, and that's probably what they're going for.
Yeah, nice. Love
That's
to hear.
my guess. That's my take.
Yeah. Well, she basically like goes out into the town when she's going to like some sort of dance lessons or something like that, and she's going to be with men, is what she says. And then he like comes in and she's like, wow, he's so much more of a man than anyone else I've ever met before. And so she just gives him information. Yeah, John and Pearl are at the house. And so he comes and he's like, those are my kids. I'm here to take them. And John's like losing his marbles. And the old lady's like, what's wrong, John? Is this guy your dad? He's like, no, he's not. Don't let him take us. And then old lady, whatever her name is, pulls out the big old
freaking grabs a gun, dude.
Yeah, and just blasts.
Freaking pokes him in the back with it.
Yeah, dude, too sick. Yeah, she was a great character.
She was a beast.
Yeah, and then we have like another ultra creepy scene where like the kids are up in bed and she's sitting there in like a blanket with a shotgun over her lap, right inside the window, and he's sitting on a stump singing, and they start singing together, and then like lightning strikes or something, and he's gone, and you're like, what, dude?
What a guy. What a creepy
doesn't he just
movie.
like randomly end up inside somehow?
Yeah, he comes inside, and then the cops,
she blasts him.
Get him.
And
she does blast him.
And then the cops get him. Yeah.
And then the kid, dude, John, freaking smacks the money all over him, crying all over him. Dude, it's really sad.
What did he do? That would have set them up for life, dude.
I know. Yeah, the cops saw that. They were just, sick. Mine.
Yeah. They're like, oh, so that's where the $10,000 was. And then it ends on Christmas Day. New favorite Christmas movie alert. Am I right?
I know, right? The happiest Christmas movie out there because he gets a sick watch, dude.
Yeah, dude. Too sick. And it ends with the surrogate mother lady being like, man, kids sure can handle a lot, can't they?
Looking at the camera, bro. They abide and they survive or whatever. And it's just, what are you talking to?
What a like weird thing to end on. Are we saying that like it's okay if a kid goes through what those guys just went through the entire movie? They'll be fine. Was that the plot of the movie?
Yeah, dude, I've been thinking about that a lot. I was like, what is that last statement supposed to mean? And I like obviously looked up what abide meant because I was like, I think I know, but I don't know. And it literally does mean like endure, but usually through obedience and stuff. It's like, what are you saying? What does that mean? And this is deep movie guy stuff, right? I feel like this is where the film enthusiasts grab their pipes and they're just, well, actually, and then they'll go on forever, and that's what makes it cool or not cool, depending on your thought. But I don't know. Like, I don't have an answer for that. There you go. You got the pipe. I don't have the answers. Where are we at now? I think
once again the leads are running.
I'll be thinking about it though. I know, but I'm gonna be thinking about that. And I think that's the point of a good movie, right? I forgot about Postman Rings Twice already, and we just talked about it. But I'm not gonna forget about Night of the Hunter for a couple weeks, dude. I'm gonna be thinking about that ending.
Yeah, that is. I think that it's like it seemed like a hopeful ending, like.
Right, not very.
I feel like everything ended well for the most part, Like, I mean, other than the tons of counseling that they'll need. The massive trauma, and they lost their money. But overall, it was like pretty net positive. Like
their dad is still alive, right? Or is he dead?
Gas chamber, dude.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
I forgot that. That sucks. I was thinking, won't he come out of prison eventually? But why do you get the gas? What did he do? I thought he robbed somebody.
I think when he robbed somebody.
All right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the non-hopeful part is they don't have parents anymore. But
right. But they've got perhaps a better parent. They got the old granny with the shotgun who will not rob a bank, so they won't be set up in this situation again. So yeah, it seemed. I liked it. I thought it was really solid. Once again, we get into the whole thing of like, is this noir? I guess so. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I guess
what does this open the door to noir also being? Is Home Alone a noir?
Every Southern Gothic is that noir? Like, is Southern Gothic an offshoot of noir? Is my question.
I don't even know what Southern Gothic is. I'm
gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'll give you some examples.
Someone should read the old.
Southern
definition.
Gothic is a literary and film genre that blends Gothic elements with distinctive American Southern setting to explore social complexities, often through grotesque characters and settings like decaying plantations. It uses horror, decay, and macabre to expose the dark aspects of Southern society, such as its history of slavery, racial tensions, or moral failings, frequently contrasting an idyllic surface with disturbing reality beneath. So that's exactly what you mentioned in Devil All the Time.
Yeah, for sure.
Southern Gothic
this
movies.
makes me think, though, isn't that like... It has to be an offshoot of noir then, too, doesn't it? Because it sounds like it basically is what noir does for everything else, but only
But
to
your
like
point,
Southern.
instead of streets, it's taking it to the south.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
and
I think we're just
feel
going
like noir
to
uses
categorize
less
this.
horror. Because it said horror, right? And macabre.
Yeah, I agree with that. But as I'm looking at the list, Streetcar Named Desire is on here, and that seems very noir, Southern Gothic, but not very horror. But I mean, most of these, 9 out of 10 of these, look very horror. So yeah, I think let's call it an offshoot of noir. All right, we're making that distinction.
Yeah.
Just like I was talking to
Which
Jim
came
the
around
other day.
first?
It's got to be noir, right? I mean, well, I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
that.
don't know.
But I was talking to Jim the other day, and we were talking about noir, and I was like, you've always liked noir, and you like cyberpunk, which to me seems like an offshoot of noir. And I Googled that, and I was like, I saw that the internet seems to have that same sentiment that cyberpunk is kind of an evolution and offshoot of noir. I think you could just say the same thing for Southern Gothic. It's like, that's just another angle you can take noir. That's clearly distinct enough to be its own thing. Just like cyberpunk, I'm not going to be like, oh man, can you give me a noir recommendation? Let me hit you with Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever. Like, I'm not going to hit you with Altered Carbon. But yeah, I think it's close enough, and a brother.
Noir.
It is very noir. But would it go to, like, if someone asks you, I need my quintessential noir, are you going to hit them with Altered Carbon? Probably not.
Maybe for neo-noir, but definitely not for like classic.
For neo-noir, yeah. Like RoboCop, if you give that to someone when they're asking for classic noir, you're probably a douche, you know?
Yeah, I think that, I don't even know if I'd give that to somebody for neo-noir. It's too much action, I think. But I digress. To close the loop on these two, what did you think of them? You like them?
Do I like these movies?
Yeah.
I like Night of the Hunter a lot. Postman Rings Twice, Always Rings Twice, like that. That's fine for me. I didn't like it that much. And I forget if I said this on the podcast or just to you, but I did not read this. I was getting it confused with Double Indemnity, which is written by the same guy, and it's basically the same plot. It's like that, but with an insurance agent and kind of a more evil femme fatale, from what I remember, like a real actual malicious femme fatale, like wanting to help or use him to help set up these like false insurance deaths and insurance money and stuff like that. So I found that one to be more interesting than Postman Always Rings Twice, and I can't even put my finger on why I don't like it, because like I said, I think I liked the characters, but overall maybe the plot just felt too easy and generic for me or something. But that's my thoughts. What about you? What do you think of these two?
I think talking through the Postman Always Rings Twice, I like it a lot better than when I finished it. When I finished it, I was like, I don't even know what to think of this. But getting to talk through it, I still, like I said, I take it that it's noir, like, sure. But I do feel like it really muddies the water. Because that's the whole thing. Like, Jeff, we've had, join the Discord if you want to talk about this, because we've had a whole, like, probably week-long debate since we did our first episode. Zerk jumped in. He was like, all right, the council needs to decide what noir actually is. And so we've just been batting it back and forth. But Jeff Pintabona, Veritas author, all around great dude. He dropped in a really like interesting message about this whole concept, and I can't remember where I was going with this. But
Jeff Pintabona is incredible at thinking about this stuff. I love his takes on genres.
Let me see what he said. You guys should definitely join the Discord because it's, like I said, super interesting stuff talking about this genre.
And soon you'll want to talk to these authors who wrote in the genre for the Noir collection.
Dude.
Veritas Noir comes out next week, right? I mean, it'll be less than a week from the time you're seeing this. It comes out Tuesday the 18th.
Tuesday the 18th, dude. That's like, a week from today. Man, that's so exciting. Very cool. Very cool stuff there. Tons of exciting stories. Some that are all over the genre, like we said. There's no quite like Postman Rings Twice level story. Or maybe there is, I don't remember. But it really just like runs the gamut of the different aspects of the genre. So super exciting
and
stuff.
Most of those authors are in the Discord is the point. So like if you want to talk to them about their stories and things like
These
that.
These guys literally wrote the book on Noir. They're who you want to talk about. But today is a huge day for the podcast and Veritas Entertainment. Day of recording, which is a day before it goes live. Exactly a year ago today, my boy L.S. Goodish and I were in the woods filming The Cowboy and the Criminal, a Nate Cold adventure, the first introduction of Thomas Redford to the world. We filmed the live-action trailer for Fighting Heart of Man, Volume 1. Dude, it was a fantastic day. It was where I first met Casey and kind of where the dream of Veritas was set in stone, dude. Found its foundation. So, very cool. Honored to be doing this podcast with you. Honored for Veritas to be around for as long as it's been around, and happy to know you, dude. It's been
happy to know you as well. This is a good thing we got going. I can't believe that was a year ago because it feels like yesterday and 900 years ago at the same time.
Dude, it does feel like a very long time
very
ago.
Weird. And that was such a good omen for the future because you had never talked to Casey ever once in your life.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then we get out of that car and it's just business and we work together so well, the three of us, that we got so much shot and done in a day. That was incredible. I was like, that could have went so much worse. You know what I mean? Like this was as good as it could possibly go, kind of.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
There's a world where we got nothing done that day for the 9 to 10 hours we hung out there, So I think it's just the power that, like we said before, it feels ordained by God that big things are coming. Dude. So we're very excited. Great team. And that's what's cool about Veritas Entertainment is it's not just the three of us. It's everybody who is part of the team. We had fantastic time with the horror film submissions and all that stuff.
Which, congratulations, your team crushed it.
Thanks,
you guys ended up getting the votes.
Yeah, very cool. Super excited about that. East Germany assignment was very fun to make, and I had a great team to work with, and that's what it is. It's like Veritas is not just Luke, Nathaniel, and Casey. It's everyone who's written for us, who's created a film, who's making this stuff happen, because we're bringing back storytelling to people who care about it and who love it. So it's very exciting, a great time to be an author. Before we wrap up, we should do a quick, how are you doing, dude? How's your day going? How's life been for you recently?
Pretty good. I saw Rocky IV twice, so I'm feeling
like
I got to get absolutely on the sauce and get shredded out of my mind. That's how I'm feeling. So it's helped the workouts at least, you know what I mean? And then we got Veritas Noir coming out, so I've been working to make sure that's finalized and ready to
tirelessly.
Go. Looking good,
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, doing well overall. No big complaints. Looking forward to Thanksgiving. I feel like I love Thanksgiving so much. Just really excited for that and going out to Arizona for that. So that's kind of what's been on my mind lately. What about you? How are things? What's new?
Things are great, dude. I am also right there with you with the holiday season. I love fall, and then I love going right into Thanksgiving and Christmas, dude. It's so much fun. So we actually we're I feel like I never get into the Christmas spirit until it's too late if I wait too long to start listening to music and start decorating. So we just decorated some stuff yesterday. We've been listening to some Christmas music. It was like 42 degrees yesterday, and Luelle and I went to the park. Caroline and Vivian stayed in the car, and it reminds me of last year in January when we had Vivian. Luelle and I would go to the park like probably every day, and I would wear my big trench coat, like wool trench coat, and smoke a pipe, and we would just run around and climb on the playground all by ourselves. And I had like, I think I talked about it on the podcast, the fleeting thought of being like homeless and just going around with my kid and like living in the tunnels of the playground.
Yeah.
And I was driving yesterday and I was like, dude, what do I think of when it gets cold like this, Caroline? And she's like, I don't know, Christmas? And I was like, no, I think about being a homeless man. And I had like my leather jacket on. I was like pulling my hood up, sitting around a fire right by the train tracks, like freezing my keister off, maybe smoking a pipe if I'm lucky, dude, and eating beans out of a can, dude. The dream. Like, what a life.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, dude.
Obviously.
It was snowing yesterday here, so we got those Christmas vibes coming.
Dude. That's
just
crazy.
A little bit, like it layered
yeah. Like
the
some
grass
flurries.
just enough, you know?
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, there was rumors it was supposed to snow today, but I don't think it's going to. But let me just circle back to homelessness. I know I over-glorify being homeless, and being homeless in the cold's got to be one of the worst things ever, so I don't want to make light of that. But it does seem like it could be a vibe. There's a possibility where it's actually like a good time if you handle it right.
And what you're referring to is definitely a totally different thing. Like being a hobo back then was literally almost like a lifestyle choice you could make as like a career opportunity.
According to Louis L'Amour, it was like a good thing to do. So that's more what I'm thinking of. Because they had work set out for hobos. Not like they do anymore, unfortunately. Dude, bring back the good homeless life. That's something we need in the 2020s. Come on. Make homelessness.
They got to read a little more Louis L'Amour. See how they can make homelessness work out for everybody, I guess.
Hot take, dude. We just hand out Education of a Wandering Man to every homeless person, and the world would be a better place.
Pretty sick. Except it wouldn't address for like the mental health aspects of any of that. But for the people who weren't involved in that aspect of it, it would be pretty sick.
I don't think it would help at all. It would only help for them as long as it took for them to feed the pages to the fire to keep warm for just a little longer.
That's true. Like, thanks, man. Poosh, dude,
poosh. Maybe this is what noir really was all along. And with that...
Just being homeless in the winter?
Yeah. The moral ambiguity of that, of course. We digress. It's always a good time on the podcast. Quick little preview of what's to come. Next week we are going to be talking about the Maltese Falcon film and an undecided second one.
Didn't you decide?
Well, we said Double Indemnity was an idea. Also, the Farewell, My Lovely with Robert Mitchum was an idea. Not quite sure, because you said Double Indemnity is the same as the Postman.
Pretty similar, but better. So it's up to you.
We'll definitely be watching. We'll definitely be watching the Maltese Falcon, and possibly, maybe we should just do the old Humphrey Bogart double classic and go with The Big Sleep, which is Sam Spade and Philip Marlowe. We'll see.
There you go.
You'll tune in next week to find out, but definitely watch the Maltese Falcon if you want to be kind of like online with us, and join the Discord to figure out what the second one will be. And then for the final week of Noir November, doing something that may not even be noir, we are going to be discussing one of the greatest books of all time, Double in Trouble by Richard S. Prather and Stephen Marlowe. The crossover book, the most ambitious crossover of all time, featuring my all-time favorite character, Chester Drum, and my maybe like fifth favorite character of all time, Shel Scott, in a country jumping crazy adventure about the unions and strong-arming people. That's great. Check it out. Read it. I posted a link to you can find it online for free to read, called Double in Trouble by Richard S. Prather. And there's a link in the Discord. Check it out. Read it. And we'll talk about it. And we will answer once and for all, perhaps, what noir really is. There is no answer. We'll never answer that question.
Break the case. We're going to make it happen. We're going to figure out what noir is. One definition to rule them all. It's coming.
It won't happen. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Got a doctor's appointment for man. Weak man. Yikes. Now, I think I already know the issue. Please, what's going on?
Well, I just been not feeling like the man I should be. My wife has to unscrew the pickle jar for me. I can't crack an egg. I can't even do a push-up. Not even with my knees on the ground. Business started deteriorating about 3 days ago. I used to have chest hair. It's not around anymore. I used to be able to do one pull-up. Can't do any now. Actually, can't even hold on to the bar. When I sweat, it smells like roses. They don't know what's going on, boss.
I don't believe that. I've seen this before, and I know exactly what to do. Don't worry. Now, you've got a particularly strong case of weak man syndrome, so I'm going to have to prescribe you 3. I would never do this typically. You only need 1. Body-hardy man. Not a dull grass. And particularly potent. Treasured by trade. Now, these Veritas Entertainment books are all you need. To me, careful with these. Damn, Doc. I feel better already. Read Veritas Entertainment and become the man you were meant to be. Read Veritas today.
Veritas Entertainment would like to remind viewers that this program is pure satire. Our books are not FDA approved, AMA endorsed, or recognized by your mom as a legitimate medical treatment. However, it has been said Veritas readers may experience the following totally unverified and possibly imaginary side effects. 30% increase in chest hair density, exact percentage may vary, sudden craving to chop wood shirtless, 2 to 3 more dates per week, plus 200 pounds to your bench press, the uncontrollable urge to unbutton the first several buttons of your shirt, instinctively knowing how to grill anything, including salad, a voice that drops half an octave, the ability to parallel park in one smooth motion while maintaining eye contact with onlookers, a statistically significant improvement in beard thickness even in readers who haven't hit puberty or are women, sudden knowledge of magnum PI and Tom Selleck. Side effects are permanent, hilarious, and not covered by insurance. Read responsibly.
We did it!